Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Final Round Drag Racing Podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride tonight. A little bit of a a little bit of a rough start, but we got looks like we got everything up on its feet the way that we need it to be. So glad to have you along with us here tonight for this one. Rob going to be joining us here in just a few moments to talk a little bit about some new changes and some new updates that are due out here for us on the cusp of the racing season, which is just about ready to get underway. Looking for some feedback. I know Jeff Jackson is out there watching, Eric tuning in as well. We appreciate that, you guys. Thanks so much. Can you let me know if things need to come up, down, lower, higher? I think we are in pretty good shape, all things considered, but at the same time, I just want to make sure. Hey, Harry. Thanks a lot. And there we can see Rob tuning in already on the Zoom meeting. Jason's hanging out there as well. Appreciate those guys making some time. Rob, man, how are you?
I'm good. How about you guys? Sorry about the little technical difficulty today. I actually had to go through my phone to sign in.
Run into that stuff every so often. It is what it is. Nothing to sweat too much about. Jason, how are you? Everybody's asking about your your headers.
So I'm doing well. I hope hopefully the audio is good. I'm getting a little bit of feedback on my end, so hopefully it's good for everybody else. Yeah, I'm doing well. Headers are in progress. I was looking for some pictures. I got some pictures on my phone of at least them started and mounted on the car. I was going to throw some pictures up into the chat and give some people a little fodder, I guess, to make fun of me while we're on the air.
Well, that's always the part that everybody enjoys, right?
It seems that way. So. But yeah, Jeff Jackson said you're good so far. So yeah, the feedback must just be on my end. So we're good. It looks like. So yeah, we'll move forward. The show's not about me, anyways. It's about Rob and the Mid-Atlantic.90 series. So I mean, your schedule ready to go at this point, Rob?
Yep. I wish I got the memo tonight that I was supposed to wear a Super Rod sweatshirt tonight. I mean, I see you and Chris both have your Super Rod sweatshirts on, and I didn't know I didn't get the memo before. But this is like my 6-month visit to you guys. I kind of feel like that uncle that stops in for like holidays. I was with you guys back in October when we did the update from Virginia, and you don't have to take it off. I mean, or he's got his Don Knobloch T-shirt on that tells him. Yes.
There
you go.
That's courtesy of Kelly.
Yep. Yeah. She said she was going to send you out some shirts of Don when he won his championship in 2016, I believe it was. Yeah, I know we had a whole bunch left over, and they end up go ahead and sucking up all the rest of them that I had left, so I didn't have to cart them around everywhere. So, our schedule is done. It was a little bit of a headache here and there, but nothing like, fingers crossed and knock on some wood here, that is nothing like 2020. We are definitely crossing our fingers that COVID is either ramping itself down, or we're getting back to restrictions where that they are, not as bad, that we can actually go out and play and not have to redo schedule like we did last year, where we redid it 6 times and finally got onto a schedule that we were able to finish our whole entire season. So this year, hopefully, with what we have set, of course, there is one date on there right now that is in jeopardy, just because the fact is that we're not sure what is going on with the racetrack itself, which is ACO.
Yeah.
But we're forging forward and going from there. So
I guess I'm not exactly sure where to start, whether I should start with ACO or the schedule in general. I mean, if you look at the schedule in general, have you I'm assuming at this point that all the tracks are assuming that everything is going to be a full schedule from start to finish, right? There, other than ACO, which has its some, let's call it, unique issues behind it, but everybody else has got their schedule set and expecting to be open. I'm assuming the entire year, right?
Yeah. From what I've talked to, most of the tracks that I've dealt with, I know with Maple Grove's going full force with their schedule. They have a full plate of events this year. Planning definitely on having the Lucas race, the national event. We're in there also. We got our big event coming up in August, and now we have another event that is going to be a huge one for the kickoff of the 2021 season, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, so I mean they're good. New Media, from what I've talked to Bob and Vinny up at New Media, they are got a full plate on their schedule. They actually joined up the This is Bracket Racing program with the Luke Bagaki. Okay. And they're doing a bracket race deal this year where they're going to pay $10,000 to the champion as long as you sign up for their points program. So you have your additional points deal, and then I believe it's an additional $50 to sign up for the This is Bracket Racing program, and there's a chance to win, I think, $10,000 to win the championship at the end of the year. And there's a couple of tracks. I believe New Media's one. I think Lebanon Valley. I believe Great Bend. I think you had Mike on a couple weeks ago, and I think that's one of his home tracks. And I think Great Bend's part of that deal. I think there's 20 tracks or so that Luke and them guys got on board with it. And New Media is the closest one for us. And we're actually there on a weekend where they have one of their races going on a Saturday, Sunday double bracket race, and then we're there Saturday and Sunday also. So for one tow, you can go up there and get 4 races knocked in. So not too bad of a deal to make the tow up in the Media. So
no, that's a great deal. Now is that going to be one of your? That's going to be one of your bigger races as well, correct?
New Media is always our plan was to try to get around the Lucas race. The Lucas race, I believe, is the last weekend of July, is the way that it is, the way that's set up. And we were trying to get the weekend before the Lucas race so the guys can come out there, leave their stuff there, and then run the Lucas race. And the Lucas race this year, they did a national open the weekend before. The National Open is on Thursday, Friday, and then the Lucas race is Saturday, Sunday. So you got 2 races there to run up in New Media. But the weekend before that is their Diesel Nationals, and that's a huge event for them up there. So unfortunately, I couldn't get that date. And then the weekend after that is the 2nd annual Class Racer Nationals, which is for stock and super stock guys. So they have a big race with Ken Mealy and I believe the Fletcher boys. Put that all together last year. Pete, I think Biondo is also involved. So they're giving away, I think, $5,000 each day to stock and super stock. And then they're doing like a CIC race and maybe like an A stock automatic shootout race also on there. So unfortunately, the .90 guys didn't really fit in with that type of program. So we had to go with July 11th, and I think it's 11th and 12th. I'll just check my calendar out real quick here. And see, unfortunately, July 10th and 11th is the weekend that we'll be at New Media. So they'll have their normal test and tune on Friday night, and then Saturday and Sunday we'll have 2 .90 races, which is our race number 3 and 4, and then you're going to have 2 bracket races on there also on Saturday and Sunday also. So like I said, 4 races for 1 tow. It's not too bad of a deal to, if you want to run .90 racing and bracket racing, if you like to switch back and forth and stuff like that. So,
but I think in general, I mean, almost everybody. I mean, quite frankly, if you're going down there, I mean, I think you have to do that, really, right? I mean, I will say that I'm okay if I concentrate on one. I'm not particularly good if I'm switching back and forth midday. But yeah, I mean, if I were to go down, which I just looked at our schedule to see when our race was at Empire, ours is July 24th. So we are not scheduled that particular weekend. So it's a great weekend for us, in my opinion, to load the Corvette up and come down to New Media. And like you said, to get 4 races in all at the same time. So I think if you're going down, you just have to. I mean, you'd be silly not to.
Yeah, you just got to remember to empty out the box or make sure you, whatever you're doing, and stuff. Because I've seen that a couple of times where guys, they start going some late rounds and, they're set up running, throttle stop in 90, and 990 in one class, and then they keep the throttle stop going in the bracket race, but maybe they forget on the tree, and next thing you know, they're leaving off the wrong bulb, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot, after they're going rounds, and they're like, oh man, I shouldn't have even ran one because then I wouldn't have to change the box back and forth and this and that was. But I think it'll be a good time. We're trying to really gear our schedule around a lot with having more events, bang for the buck to make that toe up to the certain tracks. We all know, gas is starting to
creep back up.
Make it creep back up to $3 at least right now, and who knows what it'll be by the time summer's over with, or by the time summer gets here and the holidays, and then plus tolls. I mean, like the Pennsylvania Turnpike, for a lot of people, that took a nice hike, I believe, since our last race at Maple Grove. So that's and that all puts on a lot of wear and tear on people pockets, they want to go racing. I mean, we all, no matter what we'll do, we'll sell our firstborn child to go racing, but some people, they look at it and they say, well, what's the best bang for my buck? Am I going to go to one race for a $300 entry fee and be stuck there for 4 days? Or can I go, for 2 days, not have to burn any vacation time at work and be able to get 4 races in for, $400. So I think that's what a lot of people are starting to look at. So that's why we're trying to really trying to shoot towards having more races involved into it. So
I think it depends. One of the things it depends upon is how good you are, right? When you're really terrible like I am, you want as many chances to win as you possibly can. So I'd be all in for like $400 $1 races, and I'm bound to get lucky one of those times and win. So, but yeah, overall, I mean, it's a good point about the vacation thing. I do want to try and hit one of the bigger dollar bracket races, or a couple of them this year. But I mean, to go to those races, you're not going to be able to leave on Friday night after work. Well, I'll say you can, but that's really not going to be in your best interest if you really want to try and do well that weekend. You got to get there on probably Tuesday night and do the Wednesday warm-up race, and if they have a test and tune, get in on that. And, that's certainly a nice thing in your particular case. Is like you said, you can leave Friday night, race Saturday, Sunday, be home Sunday night, sleep in your own bed, and be back to work Monday morning.
Yep. Yeah. And luckily enough for me right now, I mean, I'm working from home. I've been working from home since March of last year. So even if you do have a late, get in, to your house on a Sunday night, luckily enough for me, I roll out of bed and get the coffee rolling, and I roll into the next room and start my computer up and start working from there at 7:30. So, that's the one kind of, joy of working from home, and I don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to drive into Philly every day like I was doing previously. So, like I said, our schedule's pretty good this year. We do have one special race, unfortunately, January 31st of this year. We had a bad year as it was last year. We had lost 2 racers and a spouse. We had lost Steve Martell, Marty Ganjoin, which is our champion in 2017 in Super Street, and then his wife Joanne had passed away 3 months before that from pancreatic cancer. So we had a rough go as it was, and we kind of figured hopefully 2021 would be a little bit better. We lost Dave Bishop. If you're familiar with Division I with photography, Dave Bishop was the photographer earlier, like in the 90s, and he actually started the Super Comp series back in the 80s and 90s called the Competition Photo Super Comp Circuit, and that eventually morphed itself into what we have today with Mid-Atlantic Super Comp Association. And then, unfortunately, January 31st, we lost one of our racers, Dave Stein, in an ATV accident. He was only 2 miles from his house, and unfortunately, he was only 53 years old, and was killed. And his his I guess father-in-law and mother-in-law, and then his wife Kara, who some people may know Kara from running Top Dragster and Super Comp, and she was the Division I champion in 2010, and she also ran some A Fuel dragster for Anthony DeSaro back in 16 and 17, and they with them. Just being a title right sponsor for the series with Roadrunner Racing Fuels, being a VP dealer, VP Racing Fuels, and Roadrunner Racing Fuels got together, and the first race that we are doing for our series, which is May 22nd, at Maple Grove, we are doing guaranteed $10,000 to win for Super Comp. So 890 index will be $10,000 to win guaranteed. So no matter what the car count is. So one car shows up and runs Super Comp, guess what? You're going home with 10 grand. So it's our goal is to make this the largest payout ever for Super Comp racing. We all know that, a lot of these big money bracket races are popping up everywhere, and everywhere. You got the Spring Flings, you got SFG, you got all these, Mutt and Jeff, Mike's stuff up in Canada. So there's a lot of, promoters jumping around and coming on board and stuff, and it seems like every time you turn around, there's a new flyer popping up on Facebook. Like that the Jim Harrington race was just released yesterday from Anthony Fetch, and that's a long running race also, but they've been up in the payouts also on that race. So nobody's ever really done anything for the .90 guys, so I've kind of taken the I guess bull by the horns, and along with Jeff Stricker and Kim Stricker and Kara Stein and stuff, we decided that, in Dave's honor, that we would do $10,000 to win and go from there. So, I mean, the payouts, down the road are also good. I mean, we only get, I think, I believe it's 100. Let me see. I have it actually pulled out right over. I did. I just actually posted it up on Facebook today.
Just today?
Yeah. As far as the payouts go, for that race for Super Comp, because I know some people look at it and go, well, you're going to pay 10 grand out, but you might only pay $200 out to the runner up. But at 75 cars, we're doing 10 to win, 2 grand runner up. If we get 128, it's 10 grand, 3,000 runner up, and go down from there. So as far as 900 semifinals with 120 cars. So we expected it's the weekend before the division race there at Maple Grove, so people can leave their stuff. Super Gas also has a $1,000 bonus from P&L Garage. So the winner will pocket another $1,000 and go from there. And we're still working on some more sponsors. We have all kinds of stuff that has come on board. DJ Cox, who runs Top Aqua Funny Car, his the company he works for, DXI Construction, is doing $500 for the person who cuts the best reaction time in Super Comp. We're doing a burnout contest on qualifier number 2, which pro stock driver Kyle Koretsky, Super Comp racer Mike Bodner, and Mike Hondras, who also runs Super Gas and Super Comp. They're throwing up $650 to do a burnout contest at qualifier number 2 of the race on Saturday. And then we're doing a celebration of life later on that night. So we're doing everybody that enters will get a cup with the inaugural Dave Stein event on there. They'll get stickers, and then we are going to do a barbecue, a pig roast, and a live band that night with also the Racers for Christ chaplain doing a just an invocation and just some talking about Dave's life. And then we are also doing a race on Sunday too, so it'll be a little less. And the entry fee on Saturday is only $130. So it's $100 paid to me, $30 paid to the gate for Maple Grove, and then Sunday would be a little different, $80 and $30. But that goes back to our regular payouts that we normally do. But still, at I think 50 cars, I think we pay $1,700 to win. Yeah. And then of course we have the big race coming up in August, which is the .90 Nationals and top shootout. So So lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, no doubt. I have to say that I had no idea that Dave Bishop had passed away. I mean, I mean, I'm in shock, honestly, a little bit. Yeah, because it's been. I mean, it was. I just read. I'm reading here on Competition Plus that it was 6 weeks ago, essentially mid-January, that he passed away, and yeah, I had no idea.
He died. He died of COVID. I mean, it's that he had, I guess, contract. He got it, and unfortunately, never came out of the hospital from getting COVID and passing away and stuff. So I mean, it's definitely a dangerous thing. I mean, we had it roll through our house in December. My father was in the hospital for 11 days with COVID. You know, luckily enough, did recover. I had it for about 4 or 5 days or so. And I mean, it was definitely definitely not fun, I guess, was, you know, with that disease and stuff. And so, you know, I know it hits people differently. Some people, you know, they get a sniffle and that's about all they get. And some people never get anything. And some people get knocked right on their rear end and either, you know, never go to the hospital and end up passing away, or go to the hospital and never leave the hospital. And it's a you know, it's a crazy thing. So.
Well, it's nice. I mean, I have to say that it's really nice that you guys are going to be remembering him along with, you know, everybody else. Essentially, I mean, it's definitely sad, unfortunately, and especially in. I think it's probably fair to say this in the, you know, .90 style racing. You know, if you were to look at the average age of the competitor in the .90 classes, we are definitely getting older. There's no doubt about it, and it's becoming more of a common occurrence to have, you know, a longtime competitor passing away. Unfortunately, a lot of great racers out there, and yeah, I mean, it's to the point now where there's just so many people that I remember competing when I was, you know, I won't say when I was single digits, but by the time I was a teenager and really following drag racing, and we were out competing in Super Gas on a weekly basis, and, you know, me opening the National Dragster on a weekly basis and taking a look at the names in there. Yeah, a lot of those guys are, you know, starting to pass away here occasionally, and it's, yeah, it's unbelievable. It's nice that you're getting an opportunity to remember a lot of these people. A lot of the big names that I do remember are what I would call from the Mid-Atlantic region, and you know, just some great racers for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, for the most part, the .90 crew, you know, they kind of base themselves in this area, and then, you know, like, you know, I like to joke sometimes when you have a division race at Lebanon Valley, you have one at Epping, where it was, you know, there's a very few amount of people that run Super Gas, Super Comp, Super Street on a regular basis, because you don't know them, because they don't ever make that travel down to, you know, these regions or something. They just run, you know, they're the type of, hey, I want something to do this weekend, and I want to go racing, and, you know, and I want to go racing, so let me try this .90 stuff. And, you know, they might end up doing really well and win the race, but they don't travel, you know, they won't leave, you know, Lebanon Valley, they won't leave Epping. So you never really get a chance to actually meet them and get to know them and stuff. So it's always a lot of our guys end up traveling up that way, and that's how you end up becoming, you know, good friends with them. And you know, just happen to, you know, just have a beer with them one night, or just be in the stage lanes, be like, hey, Jason, how are you? You know, and then, you know, you strike up a friendship, and then, you know, like, but unfortunately, you know, it's one of those things where I had a racer, Dave Long, who runs Super Comp with us, and he's been running for a very long time. And he said, you know, we were standing in Cecil County one day, and he goes, look through the lanes. And I said, yeah. I said, what? He goes, what am I looking for? He goes, look at all the silver hair that's in the lanes right now. He says, there's no, you know, there's no coloring at all. It's all silver hair. Everybody's, you know, in their 50s or 60s, or, you know, God's even 70. I mean, my dad's still racing. He's 73. I mean, you know, I always joked, I said, you're going to be in a wheelchair, and I'm going to have to throw you into the driver's seat to continue racing, because I said, you know, he's not going to stop racing until, you know, finally, you know, either he can't, or, you know, God forbid something happens. I mean,
right.
He's going to start racing until he can't race no more. So, but yeah,
we'll get him a wheelchair van, and, you know, put a 555 in there and you just fill them up. And...
Yeah, he would love that. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that this is, what what happens, with life, I guess you would say, and you know, it's I guess it's really, it hits you really hard when it's somebody who is still racing. Either they're still racing or still actively racing. Like if it's like, oh, this guy decided that he was done racing, he sold his car, sold his operation, decided to move to Florida or decided to move whatever to enjoy the rest of his life and live on the beach and drink margaritas all day long, where it was, and then you find out 10 years down the road that he passes away. You're kind of like, I'll miss him, but it's like one of those things where you're just kind of like, well, I haven't seen him in 10 years. But
right.
When you lose somebody who is, that you just last week had a beer with, or, just saw him in the lanes, or, like when Marty passed away. I mean, we had our banquet in February, and we saw Marty there, and he was in good spirits. And, he joked, he says, I'm trying to eat healthier now. He says, my wife always wanted me to eat healthier, and I never got around to it. Now that she passed away, I'm trying to eat more salads and trying to, exercise and this and that. And then, unfortunately 2 months later, he ended up passing away from a heart attack. So, I mean, it's just crazy, unfortunately.
Yeah. And, unfortunately I can speak from experience, I know exactly how that is. And, we got, his dad wasn't racing, but Jeff Jackson's on the line here, and it's like his dad passed away. I want to say it was 18 months ago, maybe at this point. But when you go out to the racetrack, and like I said, those people are there all the time, and then all of a sudden they're not. It is basically a big shock to everybody. And but like I said, it's really nice that that you're kind of honoring these people. I mean, they're, like I said, they're big names, at least to me in the drag racing world, especially in the .90 racing world, just because they've been, longtime competitors, like I said, that I've, kind of grown up following and watching. And yeah, it should be a good time. Obviously, guaranteeing 10,000 to win. I'm assuming that somebody stepped up to help from a sponsorship standpoint to make sure that that's happening.
Yep. Yeah. VP Racing Fuels and Roadrunner Racing Fuels. And as I said earlier, that Jeff Stricker and Kim Stricker and Kara Stein, they are the owners of Roadrunner Racing Fuels, and they are a VP dealer out of Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Well, around Reading. They're probably 10 minutes from Maple Grove. And they decided this is actually their idea. They, like, we were all set in stone, okay, May 22nd, 23rd, we're kicking off the season. And then with ACO getting the divisional and the open getting postponed, we were kind of like, well, May 22nd is going to be our first race of the year, really. I mean, for guys on the East Coast, so there's a lot of guys down in Gainesville right now running the Baby Gators and the Gator Nationals. Yeah. But for East Coast people, I mean, this is really going to be your first test of competition and racing, and doing .90 stuff would be at my race. And we said, okay. And I just I decided to go ahead with our banquet. It was kind of hit or miss, do we do one? Do we not do one? How do we keep the regulations intact? How do we make sure people are wearing their masks? They're doing what they need to do. So we're in regulation, I guess you would say. And we decided to go ahead with it. And Jeff ended up calling me because, as you may know, being a president of an association yourself, when there is bad news, you are the first one to get the call. And that's what happens is, I was the first one to get the call about Dave Stein when he passed away. I got it at 7:00 Monday morning. And, then unfortunately, you got to kind of be that person who spreads the word to everyone that you're that bad news bear that goes around, and you got to be like, hey, did you hear about Dave? Did you hear about Dave? And then of course it rumbles, and then you push it, you put it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, and then it just then you're trying to figure out how unfortunately it was a very small funeral for him, but you got the outpouring of everybody coming to how can we help? How can we celebrate who he was? Because I mean, he helped out everybody. I mean, he's only been racing for about 8 years now, but everybody knew, like I said, Kara and stuff. So, he was always helping out. He would, if he wasn't racing, working on his own car or helping Kara out, he's helping somebody change a motor or change the transmission. And he was that type of guy that, like, you come back from a run, you go, man, I think I got to pull the transmission on this car. And, it might be like, you and, me and my dad doing it and then you turn around like 2 seconds later and he's standing right there going, what can I do? Well, I got wrenches. Let's go. Let's get this thing, out where it was. And that's just like who he was and how he operated. And, he was always pitching in. He helped out with DJ Cox's Top Alcohol car and Karen Staba's Alcohol Dragster and Billy Jackson's Nitro Harley. When they were down a crew member and they need somebody, to pack the parachutes or, work on the clutch or, change this release. And he was the one jumping on, and everybody knew him that way. So, I got a phone call from Jeff, Kara's dad, and said, we had talked with Freddie Terza at VP Racing Fuels, and we want to do the guaranteed $10,000. And I said, he says, no, he says, we're doing guaranteed $10,000. We're paying it out. And this is how it's going to be. And you figure out however you want to pay everybody else out. He says, but we're guaranteeing the 10 grand. He said, one car shows up or 700 cars show up. He says, we're paying out 10 grand. It's going to be the largest super comp, race in rows. And then when I announced it, and just the support and sponsors from just little mom and pop places. Hey, I want to put up $100 for best winning package. I want to put up $50 for this, and I want to put up Diane Kubicki, who does our photos now. She's put up $75 for, I believe, the first triple zero light in every class. Best losing package is getting stuff. Burnout contest, and it's just grown so much. And now, some guys are calling me and saying, hey, you're doing all this stuff for SuperCon. What about Super Gas guys?
Right.
What about Top Sportsman and Top Dragster? Because we're also having Top Sportsman and Top Dragster there also. So we have 5 classes. So, now stuff's starting to trickle in, here and there. We got a, $50 skin thrown on Top Sportsman by Racers News Network, which is Chris Barnes, and Pete Sankin, Straight Line Performance, they're throwing up $100 on the Super Street. And then, like I said, P&L Garage is throwing up $1,000 onto Super Gas winner. So, guys are coming and supporting this thing and making this a huge payout race. And, and then you could hang out on Sunday and race again for a little bit of a lower payout and not special awards and stuff. But, it's still, it's a way to race and, knock the cobwebs out and then, stay for the Lucas race the following weekend. And then we take pretty much the whole month of June off before we go to New Media for the July race, July 10th and 11th. And then we will be at Cecil for the Uncle Buck Pig Roast on the 28th, or the 28th annual Uncle Buck Pig Roast on July 31st to August 1st, which is always a big event. And then ACO, which is what we talked about, is August 14th and 15th, I believe. Check my calendar out right here. Yeah, August 14th and 15th is ACO, and we can talk about that a little bit. So, and then we close it out at Maple Grove on October 2nd and 3rd for the last race. But then we also have the big .90 Nationals and Top Sportsman, Top Dragster Shootout, August 27th to the 29th at Maple Grove. So, and that's 3 races, payouts every day. And if we get 80 cars on Sunday's big event, we'll pay out, I believe, $7,000, I think, to the winner. So,
yeah, wow, that's incredible. I guess before we kind of move on from the memorial or the Dave Stein Memorial Race on May 22nd, we did get a question from Eric McRowley, and I'm assuming the answer is yes. He was curious if door cars can compete in Super Comp, and I'm assuming the answer is yes, since to me they normally compete in Super Comp, right?
Yep. Yeah. You just can't have the dragsters run in, Super Gas or Super Street, but
right.
We did limit it to that you couldn't. We weren't going to do buybacks, or we weren't going to do double enters. I had the answer come up a couple of times. Hey, can I double enter my car? Or hey, if I have a car and, Jason wants to drive my car also. Can we double enter ourselves? Can I run it once and then Jason and I unfortunately had to put a no to that too. It's just, how it is, luckily enough, we don't have a bracket event going on that day either.
Yeah.
So it's just, the .90 guys. And then I've been helping out with Maple Grove this year with their top challenge program that they've had for a few years, but it's Top Sportsman, Top Dragster, and the Top Sportsman, Top Dragster guys have been begging me to start a series for them, and I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. I guess you would say, as I think it was Kevin Orr said, how crazy I may be for even doing three classes, or was to even add 2 more onto there. But they have a Top Sportsman, Top Dragster series. They're also called the Top Challenge, and they just couldn't really get cars. They would only have like 4 or 5 Top Sportsman cars show up, and 10 or 15 dragsters show up. So I told them this year, I said I would help you guys out, try to spread the word. So we made a Facebook page. We've really been posting stuff on Class Racer, trying to get guys more involved, even know about the series itself. So that series will be with us also on Saturday and Sunday, and then they're with us on the August date also. So, trying to give something else an outlet for Top Dragster and Top Sportsman guys to come play also. So
right. Yeah, and I will say, I looked at the payout. Let's be honest, right? It's only March 4th, which unbelievably, it seems odd to me, but I didn't realize until earlier today. It would have been my dad's 76th birthday today. But anyways, it's only March 4th. So you're almost a full 3 months before the Dave Stein Memorial Race. And the list of payouts and bonuses that you have already for that race is pretty darn impressive. And I'm assuming that is just going to grow. And again, even for Super Gas, there's a for Saturday, there's $1,000 bonus from P&L Garage just for Saturday.
Yeah.
32 cars, which you guys, get all the time. You're talking about paying $2,600 to win. That's a pretty nice payout.
Yeah. And we started this about 2 years ago. We did a Calcutta, and it took a little bit for everybody to kind of jump on board what a Calcutta was, because it's basically known in bracket racing. People don't know what a Calcutta is, and then finally when they jumped on board and started realizing it, and it's throwing $10 in there, and you basically kind of putting that gamble on yourself.
Yep.
That's you're putting on that. Hey, I feel I can win this race. And we put it out there. So of course we're going to do the $10 Calcutta also. So you figure you get, just say 100 guys throw in the Calcutta, you throw another $1,000 bonus onto the winner of, any class or whatever it is, especially Super Comp, you could win $11,000 for that.
Right.
Like I said, we want to try to keep it. We understand that there's probably going to be a lot of cars there, but we also want to make sure that we finish the race. We don't want, I saw a post the other day saying, I don't support, no, I'm not saying my races or any of this, but I don't support, a certain bracket race anymore because they can't finish races in, a certain day. And that's what I don't want to do. I want to make sure that, we start, 8:30 sharp in the morning. We're giving the qualifiers that we need to give out. And then we're going right into, eliminations and getting eliminations done in a certain, good amount of time where,
Yeah, it's definitely no good. It's definitely no good to have a race that you can't finish. Right? So that I completely agree with what you're doing. You got to make sure that you're going to be able to get those races in. So yeah, I completely agree with what you're doing there. And I don't think anyone's going to go home from the race and be like, oh geez, this race was terrible because I wasn't able to double triple it. So I think you're going to be fine from that standpoint.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We just, like I said, we want everybody to finish that race on Saturday. We want to be able to enjoy the barbecue, enjoy the band, enjoy the celebration of life for Dave, and that that they they have a good time. I mean, no matter what, we want to people leaving on Sunday night, and that was the one thing with the .90 Nationals last year. I mean, we put that race together in 5 weeks. And that was crazy as it was. 5 weeks to try to plan a race. I thought trying to plan a race in a year was nuts. But 5 weeks was absolutely insane last year. And we did it. We pulled it off. We had 160 cars total. Of course, we would have wished for a little bit more, but hey, I can't complain at 160 cars between all three .90 classes and Top Sports and Top Dragster. And it gave the racers a place to race because the Keystones have been canceled because of COVID. So, it definitely helped. It definitely helped them, have a place to race. And Maple Grove itself was going to be closed. When I pitched the idea to Betsy, who's their acting GM, she said, well, our plan is to be closed this weekend since we're not going to have the national event. And I said, well, here's an alternative to at least, throw some money at you guys, make some money for the track, and to hopefully keep the lights on. And she was all about it, and they were happy, and when I pitched the idea again this year, fortunately, the Keystones are happening, so they couldn't give me that weekend, but they did have August 27th to the 29th. So I decided to, for $420, you can run 3 races. There's a warm-up race on Friday along with a test and tune. Then they have their regular test and tune on Friday night. And then Saturday is a high roller race, taking 64 cars for only $120 entry. And then Top Sports and Top Dragster have their own 48 car field. And then on Sunday is the big race, which would pay, if we have 80 cars, would pay out $7,000 to win, $1,500 runner up. And that's for $200. So,
Sorry, I was muted. I've been trying to mute myself and unmute myself just in case the dogs are going crazy upstairs. I'm like, why won't I mute? So I wanted to ask. We talked about
blank picture, and I was like, hopefully I'm still connected. I might just babble away.
Yeah, no, you're good. Operator error over here. So yeah, I mean, obviously you have Maple Grove running races this year that they weren't. What is going on now with ACO? I mean, what have you heard with them?
So the track is.
I haven't heard anything, and I was surprised to hear that it was still possible that they were going to be running this year. And I was shocked to hear that.
So the rumor had started last year that there supposedly was some paperwork filed with the city or the township itself that I think it's International Automobile Auctions or something like that. I think that's what IAA is. They were looking to come and buy ACO. The owner itself wanted to, I guess, to get out, and they offered him, I guess, a amazing amount of money. I guess something that nobody, if they came knocking on the door and said, Jason, your house is worth, $300,000 and we want to give you $5 million, I think you would have had all those pictures down and packed in a box and be like, hey, here's the keys, I'll see you later.
Sure.
And I really think that's what really came down to is that. So there have been rumors floating around that they were looking at selling the house, or selling the house, but selling the track. And so unfortunately what happened with like Englishtown was that they kind of came in, decided to lease the property, I guess, for 15 years at Englishtown and put junk cars on there, or salvageable cars, or however they word it. The wording on it's a little crazy. And there was no litigation, I guess, against a person having a public sale. So if it's just Jason decided to sell his house, and Chris now owns the house. I mean, there's no questions that could be answered or answered because it's a public sale. But being a fact is that the racetrack is on Pinelands, protected land. It now has all these questions that have now come up about the environmental impact of these, the environmental impact on these junk cars being there.
Yep.
So now you have,
which, I mean, let's be honest, that's kind of funny considering the fact that it's like, hey, okay, operating as a drag strip, that's totally cool. Junk cars. I mean, I don't know how long Echo's been open, but obviously from an environmental standpoint, everyone is a lot more educated now than they were back 40, 50 years ago. And I mean, how many gallons of oil do you think have been dumped around the property historically, back when nobody cared about what you did with that stuff, right? So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's the big thing that they're running into, is that the Pinelands Commission that was formed, but it was formed after the track had already been developed and built and stuff. The track has been around since 1960, and I believe the Pinelands Commission was formed in the late 70s. So there was an article that came out last week from the Pinelands Commission themselves saying that if the track was on the docket to be built today, it would be turned down. Right. Because of the environmental issues. But unfortunately, it was grandfathered in already because, when this, township, or when this Pinelands Commission was already formed, the track was already there. So, whatever was that. And what, they're saying is, the track is, I mean, for the most part, they only run Tuesday nights, Friday nights, and Saturdays and Sundays, right now. And the main concern is that there's a lot of well water. There's a lot of well water around there, and there's a river that runs behind the track called the Maurice Township River. I think it's Maurice River or something like that. And a lot of people were just concerned that they're going to have like another like Flint, Michigan on their hands, where, during the rain, they had said that they're between, I think, like 5,000 to 7,000 cars are going to be parked there on a regular basis. And, they come in, it rains, this stuff gets pushed into the river, and this is the river that runs their well water. And, it's not, so, I mean, it's not so much the track being sold. I mean, of course, you're going to have your people who, are just like, I can't believe he's selling it. And, he's this, he's that, or you have the people who are just like, hey, but because you can't stop a public sale. I mean, really, but it's more the people who live around that, around the track itself, who have to voice their opinions as far as, like, hey, we're concerned for, our children 20 years down the road, or, is there going to be issues with it? Are we not going to be able to reproduce? Or, is my child going to, have, issues with this, or he's going to grow a third arm, or,
right.
And stuff like that. So that's what a lot of the main concern is right now with the township. And it's going to, of course, with everything going on with COVID, it's everything via Zoom. So they host Zoom meetings pretty much every month or every other month. I think it's every month they've been hosting the Zoom meeting. They had one in December, and I believe that it got pushed for some reason. And then there was a January one. So the township, I believe, didn't have a feeling that there was going to be as many people on the Zoom meeting. So I guess Zoom has a limit on how many you can have on your meeting. So if you only want to have like 100 people on, it'll be limited at 100 people, as such. So they didn't know that pretty much every racer and every councilman or was going to jump on board, and they jumped on board in January. So they flooded the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Went way over the 100 people that was supposed to be there. So what they had to do was kick everybody out and then let everybody sign back in again, which then whatever. So then I guess the lawyers from the dealership or the IAA said that, this isn't fair. There's people that were, lawyers and environmentalists and this and that trying to get on. They couldn't get on. So they postponed it to February. And now with the February meeting, IAA, gave their whole deal of, this is what we want to do with the land. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to plant trees, we're going to put a nice little fence up, we're going to put a nice sign, all this other stuff. And they pitched their thing, and then the township had all kinds of concerns and questions, and it ended up going 4 hours before they decided, we're going to adjourn it till this past Monday, March 1st. And they started the meeting, and something happened with the recording of the previous meeting. So because of legal issues, everything has to be on record in case somebody, I guess, 30 years down the road wants to pull it back up and say, was this ever brought up at this, whatever. And I guess there was a problem with the Zoom recording. So now they have to go back and find out where they left off, or they have to redo it all over again. So now the next meeting is March 15th. So the rumblings I've heard is that ACO is going to try to put a schedule together for this year. I don't know if it's going to be a week by week or month by month, or, going from there on and race wise and stuff, or they're just going to put a whole schedule together and says, we're going to race till November. And then come November, we're going to pick up, with trying to sell the track again. I know there has been racers who have offered to buy the track, but when you consider the money that has been offered by the IAA compared to what a racer is going to offer, it's not even in the ballpark. So,
the problem is that, if a racer buys it, I mean, when you look at it, and if you said, all right, I'm going to buy this and try and run it as a business, there's no way you're going to be able to make as much money as you could with another commercial entity, with the value of the property, what it is today compared to when the track was built, right? So you'd have to find somebody that was a racer that was essentially independently wealthy, essentially saying, yeah, I'll make whatever money I can, but I don't really care about the money aspect of it. I just want to give my buddies a place to race. And could you find that person? I'm not saying you can't, but that's going to be really, really difficult to find somebody that's willing to just give millions of dollars away for no reason. And I certainly can't blame the track owners either. I mean, like you said, if someone came along and offered me a ridiculous amount of money for my house, you'd be silly not to take it, right? So I guess, it's clearly appears like coming down to a zoning issue and getting approval from the town to have the sale take place and then get the property zoned the way that they want to. For the time being, I guess I would certainly encourage anybody that's racing down there. Look, if Echo's a track that you race at, you enjoy it, and it's convenient to your house, then I would certainly encourage you to continue to go to Echo while it's open, because not saying that it won't be there 10 years from now, but it certainly looks like they're progressing towards a sale of the property, and then just going to try and hammer out the details to make sure that the property gets zoned the way it should, and that all the environmental aspects get taken care of the way they should. And more than likely, my guess is that it probably won't take 5 years, but my guess is that 5 years from now, Echo is not going to be a drag strip anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate part about it. I mean, I know a lot of people are sad about it. And that was a lot of people on the Zoom meeting were saying, well, I've been going there for 40 years. I've been going there for 50 years. I travel from New York down, and that's great and wonderful. But, the township really don't want to hear that. I mean, that's that they want to, they want to figure out what's going to be better for the actual town itself. I mean, that's what they're put in place. And there's conflict of interest right now just because the mayor of the township actually owns the junkyard up the street from there. So now there's conflict of interest that, he could be, his vote is going to count very well towards it being a yes, because he could benefit off of cars being used, from the auto auction into his salvage yard. So,
right.
So there's a lot of back and forth. I pretty much have stayed out of it. I mean, I go into Zoom meetings, I watch what's going on, just to get insight, just to see if we're going to make sure we're okay for our August dates and stuff. And the way I built my schedule around this year was, we have 10 races, we count 7 out of 10, so you have three throwaways. And I already told people, I said, if ACO calls me tomorrow and says, hey, we're done, we're not going to host anything in August and it gets wiped off, then we're only going to have 8 races this year. And then come 2022, we'll focus on, you know, either adding another track or trying to see if we can get another, a double somewhere with another track and go from there. Or if ACCO's there, then hey, we'll visit that and hopefully add them to the 22 schedule and go from there. But I have a feeling it's going to go. It's definitely probably 2021. Like you said, the 2021 season is probably going to be okay, but anything afterwards, if ACCO's on your bucket list, a racetrack that you've never been to and you want to go to, I would try to squeeze it in this year to at least go there and race there at least once. I mean, it's a great track. The facility itself would probably use a little bit of a touch up, but a lot of the reason behind it is because the Pinelands commission that the host this was, they're very against I guess development on the Pinelands area. They don't want new buildings being put. They don't want this being done and stuff because of environmental issues and stuff. So there's been thoughts and offers to move buildings, but they end up getting turned down, and they're a stickler on other parts too. I mean, I have friends that live 10 minutes down the street, and they wanted to build a pole barn, and they got turned down because of of stuff. So it's craziness, but it's just it is what it is, and I guess we carry on and hope that the track's going to stay a track. But if it's not, then I guess we'll travel to Cecil or travel to Maple Grove or go from there. So
yeah, I mean, in the end, I mean, it's we obviously, anyone that's watching this podcast, been part of the podcast, is obviously a big drag racing fan, and but at the same point in time, I don't think you get anybody that would argue the popularity of drag racing today isn't what it was 40, 50 years ago, right, when all these tracks were being built all over the country. And you think about all the tracks that have closed versus all the tracks that got built really in the 60s for the most part. It's really incredible. But if drag racing were still as financially viable as it was, you would have the current owner of ACCO be like, yeah, sure, I'm going to take this money and basically sell you the property, go buy property, let's call it 20 miles out of the city center, where the track originally was located for the most part before urban sprawl took over, and I'll go build another track out there. But you got to take the person's age into account and the cost of construction of a new facility, the return on investment. And yeah, anybody today, I think for the most part, realizes that probably not going to get the best return on my investment to go build a drag strip. Or even, let's face it, even just a motorsports facility in general. Not that you can't make money doing it, but how are you going to make the most money, get the most bang for your buck? It's probably not to build a racetrack, even if it's a dual purpose racetrack, right? You just got to have somebody that is, really passionate about motorsports to want to build something like that, and then let's call it, either make it so that it breaks even or makes a little bit of money. But I don't think anyone's getting rich these days owning a racetrack, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, and that's even some of the tracks that you're seeing that are closing up, or rumors that closing up. I mean, you heard Atlanta Dragway is going to close up. I mean, I'm sure when they built that thing back in the 60s or 70s, or it was out in Commerce, Georgia, and probably a lot of people didn't even know Commerce, Georgia was there. It was just a little spot on the map, and they built a drag strip there. And have you ever been to the Atlanta Dragway? I mean, it's out. I mean, you can definitely tell it's nowhere, because you make a turn at a light, you can make another turn at another light, you go down the street and you're like, where's this dragway at? And you see it, you turn to your right hand side and it's pushed all the way back into the corner. I mean, that's where it's at. I mean, but now they have, with, like you said, with development and the population of Atlanta itself has sprawled itself out, and now you got suburban areas. Now that 30-40 miles that was free back in the 60s, and now filled up with houses, it's filled up with different restaurants, and people are complaining about the noises and that. So but the funny part is, like, you hear that all these drags are closing up, and now you're hearing that more and more street racing is becoming more popular. And I think there was just something on out in Kansas City, because they had closed down Kansas City International Raceway back in 2012 or 2013, and now they've had an influx of issues going on with drag racing going on in Kansas City, and now they're talking about building a drag strip slash like burnout facility for cars for kids, that they can go do this legally and not get arrested.
Yeah, and from that standpoint, it certainly makes sense. I know I was watching, I think, I don't know if it was Street Outlaws or what it was. I was watching the other day, and they were conducting a race, and I mean, you could tell that the race itself was an organized event. They had the road shut down, and they had jersey barriers up. But whatever it was that I was watching, and it was a made-for-TV thing, so it was Discovery or something like that. But yeah, somebody crashed and, pushed the jersey barrier right out of the way, up and over, all the rest of it. I'm like, man, this is so unsafe. How long is it before, a really horrible accident occurs where, not where you have the driver of the car is killed, but where, 10s or 20 or 30 people end up getting killed because some car goes out of control, because you're trying to set up a drag race on a narrow 2-lane street. It seems to me like it's only a matter of time, and yeah, that's the unfortunate thing in this case, is that with any
and it's happened before. I mean, it's happened. I think it was not so much an actual drag race, but a couple. I don't know, had the 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I don't know if anybody remembers Troy Critchley, who was a pro mod racer, and he had the EMS pro Corvette and he was doing exhibition burnouts on the street, for charity, I believe it was, and the car lost control and he ended up crashing into the crowd, and I think he killed 1 or 2 people, whatever it was. I mean, it's a scary thing, or was that something like that can happen, and it's just and like you say, I mean, I've watched Street Outlaws. My dad watches it every Monday night, and some of these crashes these guys go through, I'm just like, wow, how did you walk away from that? I mean, like you said, I mean, it's staged. There's an you always go, how did the ambulance get there so quickly? Right. Because they're on scene. Because right. That's probably something that they have set in with the city that run these events, is that they have to have an ambulance on there and have the lighting or was. But if it's just a regular, hey, Jason, I'm calling you out. Let's take our cars out onto the back road back there, it was, and something happens. For the most part, because you don't want to get you don't want to get arrested. It's you're going to end up leaving you there if something happens.
Right.
And, it might be days or it might be hours down the road before somebody goes, oh, I think Jason's still stuck out there. He's crashing, whatever. And, and it's unfortunate, but, a lot of guys don't think about the whole, this is actually made for TV deal with Street Outlaws. And they think it's, it's real life when they try to do this in real, real time, that an ambulance is going to be there within, a minute and a half, and there's going to be EMS, and there's going to be people there to pull you out of the car and stuff, and it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, no, and when it gets to the point where you're doing illegal activities like that, it's like, something like that happens, people scatter. You hope somebody sticks around to help you out and take care of you, but more than likely 90% of the people are going to get in their cars and take off and leave you there. And it's unfortunate, just because obviously, Wally Parks, when he founded NHRA, I mean, that was the whole reason why he supposedly originally founded it, right, was to give people a safe place to race. And there's not as many of us as there used to be, and do we need as many tracks as we did in the 60s? No, probably not. But you just have to wonder what the impact will be. And I have to say, especially in your region, so Empire Dragway, we're lucky, is up here. Empire's really a long ways away from any real population, so it's not really at any risk of being taken over. So as long as we have an owner that's willing to basically make a track break even and has a passion for it, like we do with Jerry Scatia, we'll be okay. But in the area where you guys live, the population of the Mid-Atlantic area there is really, really densely populated, and I think it's unfortunately only a matter of time before really all those tracks around there probably end up getting swallowed up by population. Now, I don't think it's going to be, the next 3-4 years, but do I think any of those tracks are going to be there 100 years from now? No, I don't, because the population is just going to spread out, and it's going to be, one big. Philly's going to spread into Baltimore. It's going to spread into D.C. It's going to spread into New York City. It's going to basically be one huge metropolis in that area.
Yeah.
So enjoy it. I guess enjoy it while you can. Everybody, go find your local drag strip and support it while you can. And if Echo's on your bucket list, I would probably make it a point to try and get there in 2021.
Yeah. So I want to know, is Chris still sleeping? Is he? I don't know. I haven't heard from Chris in an hour and 10 minutes. So I don't know if he's still with us or not.
I'm waiting for him to turn his microphone on. I'm sure he's still there, because I see him controlling the cameras. So the cameras are changing. I say Chris has learned essentially that. All right, all I'm going to do is I'm going to work the cameras and shut up for an hour, and Jason likes to talk, so we're just going to let Jason essentially monopolize the conversation for the next hour or so. So we let Chris do the intro and the outro, and it's Jason in between, but I'm sure he's still there.
I'm absolutely still here. I'm definitely still here hanging out. Kind of like you said, is usually at the start of the show, Jason says, now don't be afraid to jump in. And right now, everything being remote the way that it is tonight, just to try and give this thing a test run, he doesn't have the visual cue of me waving frantically, saying, hey, I had something to contribute 10 minutes ago. So, there's that.
I would say we need to use the, I think isn't there a raise hand
is there a raise hand function in this one? There might be, actually. Let me see if I can find that. No, you know what? There probably isn't for me. Oh, there it is. It throws it up in chat. There we go.
There we go. I mean, that was icon when you.
Yes, I can raise my hand
when you want to participate. Well. I guess that said, I mean, it's certainly probably a good segue overall, just because, we are at a little over an hour here. I think we've probably covered everything as far as the 2021 Mid-Atlantic .90 schedule for the year, right? Is there anything else, Rob, that you wanted to cover before we let you go?
No, I mean, just if you guys are interested, hopefully eventually one day I said, we can get Jason and his group to come down, maybe in the media, and finally have that, that match race I believe we're going to have, where one of us has to wear high heels, I believe. I'm not too sure. I think it is, but yeah, if you're interested, you can go over our websites, www.midatlantic90.org. You can find us on Facebook. Mid-Atlantic .90 Association. You can go on Instagram, and also the Top Challenge series is also on Facebook, and the .90 National and Top Sportsman Shootout is on Facebook also. So any of those links you can always give me a call and email, whatever, and any questions that you have. I pretty much have my phone on me 24/7, and you can shoot me a message on Facebook if you got a question, or but yeah, I'm pretty much available at any time to answer any questions and put on hopefully some good races for everybody this year, and offer some big money to the .90 racers, and hopefully have a good season, and we actually get a full season in and no COVID related issues, and same with you, Jason, up there. You get a full season in, and hopefully you get a lot of support. And looks like you had at least one new guy that you had on last week, which is Joe, right? I think, right? Yeah. So you're gaining one new guy, so that's hopefully a good thing. So hopefully you grow too, and and we go from there.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to that race. That new media is the 17th. Is that right?
July 11th and 12th, I believe, or 10th and 11th.
10th and 11th. Okay, 2 weeks before our race. So yeah, I'm going to try and see if I can muster up some interest, because, like I said, since we're not racing that weekend, it's be a great opportunity for us to come down and double up with that bracket race. So I bet you we can put together a few guys at least, and we'll get maybe we'll have the Western New York Super Rod Association All-Star 4 versus your hands All-Star 4, and we'll do the high heel race from there.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, thanks for joining us, Rob. Appreciate it, and definitely looking forward to keeping in touch with you in the season, and hope to see you July 10th and 11th in the media.
Awesome, sounds good. Thanks, guys, once again for having you, and I'll probably see you in about 6 months when I come around for my next visit. So,
all right, sounds good. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, guys.
Good, thanks. Well, all right, there you have it. Lots to unpack there, that's for sure.
Well, we're still alive, right? It
Yeah.
worked.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it didn't start so well, but we did okay. I didn't get a chance to share the pictures I was going to put in the chat of the headers, but we can share that next time, I guess.
Well, I'm just happy that we were able to sail along at about 2,500 kilobytes to YouTube, about 1,000 to Facebook, and the computer has not gotten above running at 25% capacity. Nice. We got to dial in some audio things and just some stylistic stuff for the overlays, but I'm very, very content with how everything went tonight. It was a successful test.
Oh, good. So I see Jeff Jackson said he wants to call me out. So we'll have to get Jeff Jackson out to the media on July 10th and 11th there, and he can race for Rob's team.
At one point, Jeff was also telling you to invest in the track, and I think he was asking about super street cars racing in Top Sportsman.
Yeah, because he's like the only Top Sportsman super street competitor on the planet.
Yeah.
How he makes that car go so fast, I don't know, but especially being Ford powered. It's incredible, but yeah, we'll hopefully one of these days we can get Jeff out east here and racing with us. It'll be a fun time for sure.
I think so. Should be good. Did we cover everything that you wanted to hit on tonight?
I think so.
And we're going to be off next week and back again in 2
weeks. Yep, I think I have a guest lined up. Just got to make sure he's still on board. So it should be a little bit of a change for us with regards to our guests. I don't think we've ever had this type of guest on the show before. It's a drag racer. That's as far as I'll go. But yeah, hopefully we'll have. Like I said, I think I got somebody lined up already for 2 weeks from now.
Well, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. We'll appreciate everybody tuning in, hanging out with us for a little while here. That is going to do it for this one here. Final round, episode number 89 in the books. Big thanks to Rob for coming on the show and hanging out with us for a while. That's going to do it. I'd like to tell you that we're coming to you from Finger Lakes 1, but we're not. We're on the remote rig. Hope to hear from everybody soon. Let us know what you've been up to. Keep in touch. Stay safe. We'll see everybody next time.